Hello, everyone. Welcome to the original Next Level Gaming Podcast. I am Mike Mullis, a.k.a. Stinger NLG. Welcome to another wonderful Sunday night. So, we have got a special podcast for us this evening. First and foremost, Frankie and Matt are out this evening. Frankie and his lovely wife are out of the state for the weekend, so he couldn't make it. And Matt's got some family in. So I have with me, last week they were a big hit, my NLG stream team. That is Joe Hornung, a.k.a. Western Drake. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Been waiting for this night.
Me too.
And then we have HTK, Mr. Peter Heutink. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, HTK's once again in the podcast, so good to be
right.
Good to be back, I guess.
Out of the game and in the podcast.
Exactly.
And then we have Madzu, Jason Wickman. What's going on, man?
Oh, not much. Glad to be here again, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course, man. I tell you, you guys got high marks last week. We had a pretty good show. So
yeah, I thought they were gonna throw me out or something, you know? Boo me out of the podcast.
Not a chance. Not a chance. All right, so it is our pleasure tonight to welcome our special guest. He is the man behind Dungeon Punks from Hyper Awesome Games, Mr. Dan Goldstein. How are you, sir? Welcome aboard.
Very good. How are you doing? Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We're delighted to have you on. I know Joe has been waiting for this for like 2 weeks now, ever since we got this set up, and yeah, he's been, as he says, he's been pumped. So
well, I've been watching that review over and over for the last week, so I've been pretty pumped too.
See, Joe, it's a hit.
Yeah, trying to find the flaws in that review. Where did he go wrong?
Yeah, there wasn't much, let me tell you. So we have, of course, our great chat room. So everybody who is there now, and people will be streaming, kind of filing in as we go along. We already have Ms. Bella Rise from Real Game Media. She's in there, and of course, my good friend, and I have to give him so much credit, Mr. J. Williams, Graphic God. That nice little logo you see below, even though the overlay is something I created today. Not only is the logo part of his doing, but his tutelage and his great teaching and kind of working with me has given me this hair bit of creativity. So he is an awesome guy. Dan, if you need graphic work done, this is your man. He's in the chat room. Yeah, I know him. So anyway, so let's get to why we brought you on, and that's to talk about this awesome game called Dungeon Punks. So first, give us a little scoop on the company. How you got founded, and that kind of thing, and then I'll let Joe kind of take over.
Yeah. So me and my brother Josh have been making games and thinking about making games and dreaming about making games since we were both as young as I can remember. We made a game that you might remember from forever ago called Kung Fu Chess that won the Audience Award in the Independent Games Festival in 2001 or 2002. We made a whole slew of multiplayer games, did some other stuff in the interim, and then we started another company together, which is Hyper Awesome. Made a game called Shadowtail, which was sort of our stab at a light MMO brawler experience on the web. And then we realized there's something missing from it that we wanted to just fill up with goodness, and Dungeon Punks is kind of the result of me sitting around thinking about that for about 5 years.
All right, very cool. And so, Joe, that leads us into talking about some Dungeon Punks.
Yeah, man, I've been pumped for this. So I wanted to ask, actually, what inspired you to make this game? What other games inspired you in your past, from your past and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's interesting. I find that sometimes it's interesting reading reviews because once in a while I see people want something from the game that isn't what I was trying to put into it. But most of the time I see these reviews that are incredible to listen to, where it's just people are reiterating my kind of like design philosophy point by point to me, like as I thought of it, which is amazing. And so like the weird thing about the game is that I kind of think of it more like Robotron or a game like that than maybe the games you might think that it's linked to, like I don't know, D&D Shadow over Mystara, or like I enjoyed and played the hell out of all the arcade brawlers in my youth, but in a way they kind of like left me wanting more because I found like the gameplay wasn't that exciting to me after about 30 minutes at a time. So yeah, I guess I think about the game in a way that might not be totally like intuitive to everybody. Because I think about it as these like patterns of things on a 2D field that are moving in kind of not hyper intelligent ways, but that make a really interesting like motion pattern all together when they're combined. And then you, as the hero, have your set of responses you can have to those. I try to make that like really tactically deep so that you can, depending on how the board is evolved, choose what you want to do. And I found that was the kind of game honestly, I've been kind of trying to make that game for my whole life, but this was like a good vehicle to do that within.
Oh, agreed.
Oh, nice.
And like I had said, for me, I really had honestly thought that it reminded me of a little bit of Marvel versus Capcom, in my opinion, like the artwork and stuff, with a mix of like Streets of Rage, because I used to play that on the Sega Genesis. Oh, yeah. So it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's great. And I was gonna also just like ask real quick, how long did it take you to make?
Well, it was something like 4.5 years, I'd say. It's a little hard to exactly say because our process was also really unusual. After Shadowtail, we kind of stopped making more parts of Shadowtail partway through the game, even though we had a lot of artwork made already, and put our thinking hats on and tried to figure out what you could make that would just, make it really killer in terms of the actual fundamentals of the gameplay. And so yeah, in the beginning it was really just, a couple of years of just refining gameplay ideas and trying them all. And I mean, we must have tried like thousands of the different versions of everything.
By the way, that jumping on the back of the animal that just happened there, that's just a little bit of Golden Axe, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. That was funny. That was this thing that, like, until the very end, I was really unhappy with. We definitely loved it in Golden Axe, and I remember enjoying it so much in the arcade. But when we tried it, it was just like didn't get me. Like, I don't know. There's something about being limited to only using the monster's attacks that bothered me. And it must have been the last like 2 or 3 days of development or something. I was still miserable with it. I was going to cut them all from the game, and I finally realized how we could stick the guys on the back and have you swing your sword and have the monster doing his special attacks and running all at the same time. And it just came together, and we were like super stoked once we got to play it, and it was awesome. And it just kind of like saved that feature from just literally being cut at the last minute out of the game.
Yeah, I'm glad you added it. It definitely made I think it was a game changer to me. I liked being able to ride on like the gorillas and stuff like that, and that was leading into one of my other questions that I was going to ask you about the mounts and stuff like that, because me and you had talked briefly on Twitter about it, how like you were about to cut them completely and stuff. But yeah, I'm glad that you put them in there, man. It works fantastic in the game.
Thank you.
So
yeah, we were super happy with it once I was able to try the final version. I was just like, yes, I have finally conquered this horrible problem that's been going on. It was, it must have been like 8 months that we were working on different versions of it, and I just hated it every time. And then finally, when we did that, it was like everything was able to come together in a really cool way. Especially with the unicorn, just because there's so many crazy things you can do.
I love the unicorn.
And you're like riding across the screen, goring people with the horn.
Yeah, you can
your
shoot
sword,
them.
Turn around and like shoot a laser at them. It's just, I love it.
Yeah, the freaking horn shoots a laser out of it. It's awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. You just, what is it? You double tap, I think it is Y or something like that, or one.
Yeah, all the monsters, if you use your your magic button, they either do their normal attack, or if they're running or they've done their normal attack already, they'll do like a special extra attack.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was like, oh man, the unicorn is my favorite. The gorilla's pretty cool too.
There were so many problems with them, though. I mean, like, first of all, like, it was almost impossible to discover the second attack we found for people, because like if we made it just on X, like people would just do the main attack and they'd just be super bored because there's like one attack. You didn't have all your normal kind of stuff you could do. We tried different things like putting on another button. People wouldn't even try pressing the other button, so they didn't even know that it was like a thing they could do. Then you have to add in all this messaging to try and teach people, and so it's just like this kind of surprisingly complicated set of stuff that ended up coming together at the last minute in a really great way.
So so for people who maybe they're seeing this now, and later on, those who watch it on YouTube after the fact, because we are on at 10 o'clock when everybody's in bed.
That's the way to have it. Everybody's
Right.
asleep.
Well, that's when my wife and kids go to sleep, so this is one of my game time stars.
Yeah, same here.
So describe the game for someone who is, who's looking at the footage but hasn't quite gotten to our review yet or seen it. Give us kind of what your description of this game is.
Sure. So it's the first tag team brawler RPG, and that's a mouthful. But basically, we took the tag team parts of games like X-Men vs. Street Fighter or Marvel vs. Capcom, and put that into an arcade brawler, like old school type brawler, like if you ever played Golden Axe or Streets of Rage or anything like that. All those heydays of the arcades in the 90s kinds of games. And so it lets you just do these amazing, great combos with all of your heroes. You get a whole party that you can control. It's up to 3-player local co-op, but every person gets to control 2 different heroes at once, like in those other games I was talking about, the fighters. And so you can swap out in real time. So you can start turning your knight character into like a crazy whirlwind, flying across the screen, tag in with your lizard crazy dragon guy, roll through the whirlwind while it's sweeping up enemies, jump backwards, splash lightning damage onto all of them, and then get away safely. And that's just like a thing you could do in 3 seconds. And your knight is still going across the screen. You're like controlling the lizard guy now. So it opens up a whole set of possibilities for the brawler genre, or maybe people want to call it beat 'em ups. That just wasn't there before, and we think is super, super fun.
Oh
So
yeah.
you can do all this while drinking a beer.
It's hard, but you can. You need a straw. Oh, and I didn't mention that it's also an RPG. So it's also a 12-hour-long action RPG, and there's a New Game Plus mode. There's also a really cool PvP feature that we put in that I don't know how much you guys got a chance to play over here, but that's actually my favorite way to play the game at this point. It's just great. You actually fight in a section with bosses and minions and the people you're fighting against, your friends, and so there's this kind of cool tactical thing that you have to charge your mana by fighting the monsters, watch out for them, while your friends are all trying to gank you at the same time. That's fun that part.
I actually played that with my fiance, and like you had been talking about too, you can do the combos with the characters too, and I loved the combos with the characters. I would go into a whirlwind with the knight, and then after that, the tornado ability, I'm sure you guys will see that used on there. And then after that, I would go in, I'd try to slice one enemy with the knight, and then I'd jump in with the special ability for the dwarf, and he'd just slam the ground and knock them all down and kill him.
That's one of my favorite moves.
Yeah.
One thing that's been really cool for us is reading people talk about the game. Everyone's like, oh yeah, well my favorite 2 heroes were X and Y. And for every person, it's a different 2 heroes, which is just so awesome to hear. Because I was worried that we wouldn't get the balance point right and wouldn't be exactly even, but it just seems like everyone has their own favorite thing that they like to focus on.
Yeah, no, and I like I said, I love those characters, man. I love every single one of them. They're great. I was also gonna ask, man, how do you feel about the reviews that it's gotten so far, and the reactions of the players and stuff?
It's been really just great so far. Actually, honestly, you hear things about Twitter being a cesspool of people, saying horrible things to each other. I have not gotten one. I haven't gotten one negative thing anyone has said to me so far on Twitter. It's incredible. It's so uplifting, and reading all the great reviews, so many 8 out of 10. It's awesome. I love it.
That's great, man. It definitely deserves it. I'm telling you.
Thank you so much.
Definitely good to hear, man.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah. So how? And Joe asked this kind of earlier. How big is the team that put this together?
Well, it's real tiny. I programmed 100% of everything, and a lot of other stuff besides that. But my buddy Alex did most of the content development, and we had a couple of interns who were really amazing. They did some different artwork development. We had a bunch of outsourced artwork that was, a lot of it was like from the Shadow Tale era when we had that stuff done, but we kind of repurposed all of it. And like I said, those two interns were incredible. They like really just made all of it sing. Yeah, so it's us, and then my brother Josh pitched in a lot with game design help. Really fixed a lot of kind of like conceptual problems that were very hard for us to work around, and that's it. So one guy programming, one guy doing content, a couple other people helping out, and a bunch of art that we had from before. You know, we had a couple sound designers work on it, and then you get Dungeon Punks. You just have to spend 5 years, that's all.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it shows off. It completely shows off. Like I said in my review, the freaking music is incredible, and then the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. Like, you just don't see that usually in most indies nowadays, and I love it. Like, I absolutely love the music in that game. My girl heard it and she goes, "It sounds so majestic," and I'm like, it does, seriously.
It's interesting. All the music is like, you know, very. We tried to pick the very best we could find, but it's all royalty-free tracks from a million different authors. You know, I think the majority, maybe the plurality of them at least are from this guy Kevin MacLeod. His music is just fantastic. He does a lot of that really fantastic orchestral work.
You'll hear that stuff, and because that's royalty free, but he likes the tributations. So you'll see that a lot in like you'll hear a lot of his music at the beginning of our videos. But then I have to mention him in the description.
Nice.
Well, we put him in the credits, but we bought all the attribution-free licenses because we wanted to give him some money because it's like such incredible work. And
his
like,
work it really is. He's got some of his stuff is such pro brand.
It's really incredible. It's amazing. I just sent him a code for the game a few days ago, so hopefully he'll get to play pretty soon.
So, like, since we're talking about all this, I wanted to ask, this is my, like, final question for me, at least, like, what advice would you have for someone who actually is trying to get into video game development and stuff like that?
Oh, that's a hard one. You know, I think it's a real tough industry, and it's easy to, like, hear that a lot and not pay attention to it, but it's pretty brutally difficult to make money in it. So I would say do what you can to make sure that you're good. whether that's like working another job or.
I was gonna say, do you have a full-time job? Is this like a side?
No, this is definitely a very full-time job. I mean, I actually took two. Other than yesterday, I took 2 days off in the last 5 months.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Right, because you're in the midst of working on the Steam version, right?
Yeah, just about got the Steam version ready finally at long last. Yeah, we got a million versions still coming. Steam is just one.
Right, so
but Steam is going to be Mac also, I think. So I've got.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you're not kidding.
We'll play this on my N64 soon, right?
Exactly.
So we got, I mean, the version that we had, of course, is Xbox One, but there's a PlayStation 4 version as well.
Yep.
There's Steam coming. So where else is it coming to?
On August 16th, PlayStation Vita is coming out, and actually some people have review copies of that already, and they seem to be enjoying the heck out of it. So that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
That was the only one that's slightly different, actually. I actually made it a little more zoomed in than the Xbox and PlayStation versions because it held up better on the small screen there, and so it plays exactly the same, but it's a little like different in terms of its presentation.
Okay, so we have Vita, and
then like I said, I'm gonna get a Mac version of the Steam edition, and then we've got some more. You could basically assume it's coming to every console in the world.
Nice.
There's like NDAs and stuff about what you're not to say when, but
yeah,
there's no console we can't put it on. So.
What engine are you using for it?
I was going to ask that question.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to be quiet. Jason, you have a question for Dan.
Yeah. What game engine are you using? Mike stole my thunder.
It's so it's all in Unity, but it's kind of we do a really surprising way of using Unity. We use Unity as sort of a compatibility layer rather than as like a direct. Like we don't actually author any of the content in Unity. It's all with our own tools, and then we use Unity to kind of publish it in places we want it to go. So we use this interesting language called HAXE, H-A-X-E, which you may not have heard of because it's kind of small time, but pretty awesome. You can actually cross-compile to kind of every other language in the world. So it really gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of where we should put the game.
Nice.
Anybody can jump in, by the way, at any point in time. Don't wait for me.
I know
Yeah,
Monzio
you're
has
too
some.
quiet.
I know. Peter's just been soaking it in.
I'm BJ. Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, what was your favorite game growing up?
Oh man, well everyone's gonna hate on this, but I really love Super Mario 2. I'm like the only person in the world who loves that game.
I liked that
that's
game. I
great.
never beat it, but I liked it. It was hard.
There's something about it. It was like, I mean, it's an interesting game. I didn't know this at the time when I loved it, but you know, it's just another game that was by a completely third-party developer that Nintendo just reskinned with Mario and changed a little of the content.
Yeah, I learned that like a few years ago, just reading randomly on the internet.
Really? Not being a Nintendo fan at that point in time, I didn't know that.
It's really strange, but you can tell because it looks just completely different. I mean, Mario 1 is like an amazing game, and it has cool, you know, for the time, cool physics.
and it plays different too. It's got a different feel to it.
Yeah, and I just there's something about the cartoony, really like first time I saw like that kind of level of cool cartooniness in the characters, mixed with the fact that it was like an exploitation of all the mechanics that you could use the game engine for. That really just spoke to me. I mean, there's parts where you like dig in the dirt, you go inside of pots, you like it's like an exploration, almost like an RPG, but it doesn't have RPG elements. It was just to me, it just like blew my mind as a kid.
Nice. By the way,
that's certainly not my only favorite game. I have a million. I mean, like Archon. There's the list goes forever.
but I have to ask you the important question. This is the critical question. What are your feelings on, say, the Sega Dreamcast?
Oh yeah. What are my feelings on the Sega Dreamcast?
Ain't nobody liked the Dreamcast.
Temper your response.
I did a very little bit of development work on the Saturn. Which
Really?
was hell.
Hold on, stop. No, let's talk about what? Which game?
There was no final game that came out of it. It didn't even come close. Like, in fact, the company I was working for was probably like angry that I didn't get enough.
I mean, I remember that. I remember the difficulties of the twin 32-bit Hitachi stuff.
Yeah, with that horrible, stupid other chip, that like
Yeah,
horrible DSP chip.
Yes, the DSP chip.
Yeah, I was working with this.
I got to calm it down a little bit. It's okay. It's all right. He's not.
He's got to touch it all the time. He's got to touch his
He's not
clutch.
terribly angry. It's okay. All right.
Why don't you just bring it up, show it to the world?
Well, whenever somebody starts talking about the Dreamcast, I tend to bring it into my hands like Mr. Bigglesworth. So.
I'm just having a hard time actually remembering which Dreamcast games were Dreamcast games at this point. Do you remember?
Sonic Adventure 2, Carrier. Most of like their launch lineup was like Soul Calibur and Ready to Rumble Boxing and Power Stone from Capcom.
Choo Choo Rocket! Choo Choo Rocket!
Choo Choo Rocket! Choo Choo Rocket.
That was one of my faves.
That's a fun game. That was crazy, that game.
We started out, actually Dungeon Punk started out with a lot of things inspired by Choo Choo Rocket in it. We ended up taking all of them out, but they were fun.
What? That's for your sequel game.
If I could have figured out how to put them in, I would have. But yeah, we had crazy stuff like so the original version of this game was completely procedurally generated also. We found that it wasn't desirable in the end as like the beginning of the game, and so we just kind of took it out. But yeah, it was cool. There was just crazy stuff that happened. We had the thing in Choo Choo Rocket, like something weird happens and just like a random spinner comes up and some strange bad effect can occur. So we had stuff like that. We had a whole system inspired by Rock Band, sorry, Guitar Hero, which actually was incredibly great. I don't know why I didn't leave that in there. This scoring system,
Yeah.
which was based on comboing guys. It was amazing. So you have to like keep your combo meter up, and you would score multipliers based on that, but it just didn't end up working out to fit into the game we made. But man, there were so many discarded ideas that were fun along the way.
That can be put into future games, right?
That's true. That's true.
Fun for
Oh,
5
man.
minutes and then just toss it. It won't be no good. Nobody will like that.
I'm telling you, if you came out with another Dungeon Punks, I would be so happy.
Well, I'd love to. I hope it sells well enough that we can. That would be awesome.
Well, DLC. It's the big thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh man,
I'm not opposed to it. We have got at least 3 dungeons we didn't even use in the game. In the final version that we could just put together. So
he's teasing me now.
He's teasing you now.
So, and this would be a question more along the lines of just general development. Games like these are coming out, and they do great with couch co-op, as we call it now, the local co-op. Was online co-op a thought, and if it was, what happened to it that it couldn't make it into the final version?
Yeah, it was way more than a thought. Just like that Choo Choo Rocket stuff, it was actually implemented. Yeah, there's so many reasons. From the beginning, the game was actually an effort to make it all about online multiplayer. And the game that we ended up with turned out to be better, I thought, local. And that's not to say that we couldn't support online multiplayer, but I think that adding it to this game, although it would be really cool, like that you could play with your buddy across town, in a way it kind of like wasn't worth it after I decided how many platforms to put it on, because it's so much work to get it to work on each one of them that I'd rather have the game come out now and not like a year from now when I got all of that done for that amount of incremental benefit. And just having one programmer, I'm not sure it would have been better for it to come out in August 2017 and have that in it.
Is it some and again, now this goes into development itself. Is this something that can be patched in?
Yeah, it absolutely can. Whether I can, like I said, put it, so here's the thing. I would love for it to be online multiplayer, or at least some version of this gameplay to be online multiplayer. But I think the ideal form of it would actually be a different, base layer of content and set up a different way. And so if we do that, I think we'll put a different package together, either as part of Dungeon Punks or as part of some sequel or other game that includes that.
Well,
and it would work better.
Go ahead, guys.
I was just gonna say, I know that for a fact, if you guys did have multiplayer on there, I'm glad that it has couch co-op, because you don't see that much nowadays. But if it did have multiplayer, I'm telling you, you can guarantee that I'd be streaming that with these guys in a heartbeat.
Oh, I would be playing it. I'd be playing it probably as much as I play anything else. Not to say, and again, not sort of my issue is I have a son that I can play this stuff with, but beyond that, most of my multiplayer gaming is done online with friends. So for me, it's a little bit of a different perspective in that I would probably more enjoy that than maybe some. So, but it's something.
We made this whole slew of multiplayer games. It's definitely kind of strangely is our core thing. I mean, we made about 13 of them. They were featured in the ICQ client at one point, all over the web. But just it's so hard to get an online multiplayer game on all the consoles at once. It's not impossible, but I think I would need a serious financial reason to be able to do it.
I can understand that.
But if I was going to make it for only PC, I would, in a heartbeat, do that.
They got that Xbox Play Anywhere thing now.
I know. Although I heard something, I don't know anything. I'm not breaking an NDA because I haven't heard anything about this. But I heard something from online rumors that there was one game that was supposed to be Play Anywhere that ended up not being Play Anywhere because you weren't allowed to be on any other console besides Xbox One if you were going to be part of that or something. I just read that somewhere. I have no idea whether it's true, but so maybe there was some limitation there.
Yeah, that might be. Are you thinking maybe of Rocket League? I know they're
It
working
wasn't
on.
Rocket League, but it was some other game. I don't remember.
Right. Because the only other thing, and it's funny you mentioned a different package or coming out with something later, because one of my other, one of my good, I feel like I have friends there is Vector Unit, and they have this new game, Riptide GP Renegade, and I've been streaming it. I've got some videos up. That game is now online multiplayer, but the original game that came out before Riptide GP2 was simply couch co-op. So it kind of made me. That's kind of the example I was thinking of when you said that. Is it could come, it's a game that could come later on that could be in the family. It could be Dungeon Punk's Revenge or something like that, and it could have
1.5.
right, and it could have the online component on it, and I would buy it.
Sounds good. I'll have to make that then.
So. I can be here.
I've got one purchase.
There you go. That's it. I think you have more. I think you got 2.
All right, cool.
Oh yeah.
So we'll buy it.
Well, I would love to expand on the ideas behind Dungeon Punks. We kind of crammed as much as we could within the extendedly long amount of time that we did, but there's certainly plenty more that I could do with it.
Well, and the other piece to it was with Riptide. Riptide GP Renegade's out on PS4 and Steam right now, but they had actually delayed the Xbox One and Windows 10 version because they were implementing Xbox Play Anywhere. So that was the other thing that I was kind of thinking of while we were talking about this.
Gotcha.
So it's you could repackage it as a Windows 10 version.
Yeah.
You think it's too hard, Mike? I think I see smoke coming from your head there.
I'm full of ideas, guys. Yingling will do that.
Full
to
of
you.
ideas.
I'm full of ideas.
Must
So-
be that brain juice you're drinking there, right? What is
Right.
it you're drinking? Show the audience.
Hey, that's right. Enrique said he was happy I was throwing up the beer tonight. Good old,
You're gonna throw up a beer.
good old. Well, no, thank you. I'm not one with words all the time. So,
I gotta move on to my second, actually, now that you mentioned it.
oh, nice. Oh, while he's doing that, we gotta look at those cardboard cutouts again. So show us what you got behind you.
Let's see if I can bring him up here without toppling everything down. Yeah, I've got Captain Pharrell here.
Oh yeah.
The
My girl.
Nice.
main character of Dungeon Punks. She leads you on the flying.
Might want to move your hand up a little, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a great position. Yeah, we're just hugging. Yeah.
Yeah. We're good friends.
Good friend.
We do this.
We wraith around Euphoria, doing various deeds, and then we've got Master Yaha back here. Let's see here. If I can get it out of here. I'm gonna strangle myself.
You don't want to do that.
I'm trying to avoid it. Here is Master Yaha. Hopefully, I'm not touching any bad parts on this badger.
Now that would just be weird.
Yeah. So we're cuddling, cuddling badger. Teaching you spells on the wind wraith. So we got your back as you travel the very strange lands in Dungeon Punks.
So you've had that at PAX East.
Yeah. I realized we could print out these 6-foot-tall behemoths of a thing, and they're pretty fun. I've been enjoying just having them around the office.
Nice.
This is freaking awesome. I love it. Like I told you, the knight and the dwarf, I wouldn't mind having those two, man. I wouldn't mind having those two around. Those things.
I could print you a copy.
Oh man, that'd be
That's
awesome.
that's gonna be my reward level in the next Kickstarter.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Getting a copy of the knight. Actually, the knight, you were saying earlier before we got on stream that you really liked the knight character and that you liked the fact that we made her female. That was an interesting saga, actually. We were trying to make her more visibly female, but man, we tried so many versions and it just ended up not being quite right. And I thought it was better having a sort of more Samus-y kind of approach to her.
Well, she definitely looks like she's ready for seafaring combat.
Oh, the knight is freaking crazy. The knight is, when I played her, I actually, when I first looked at her, I was like, is that a guy or a girl? You could tell kind of by the figure if you look enough. because she's like a lot scrawnier, and like knights are really usually male knights are really big and brolic and stuff, so I can kind of tell. But then when you heard her go, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that's a girl.
So, what was your inspiration for some of the characters?
Oh, that was crazy too. Man, everything about the way we made this game was so weird. So we had a million different monsters, and we were just like, we don't really like our heroes. Let's just make some of the monsters into heroes. And so we took our favorite monsters that we thought we could like turn into heroes, and basically kind of like change them around a little bit so that they could become heroes. That's how we ended up with it. Yeah, so they actually were originally envisioned as monsters. We have about like 4 other ones that we thought about that decided these were better. Played around with.
Yeah, another one. That's another thing too. I forgot to bring up that character that looks like the character that has that's like red. I forgot what its name is exactly. The red one that shoots out ice. I was like, oh man.
Oh, the Jin?
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's freaking awesome. You literally shoot it at the ground and like everyone freezes around you, and then everyone else can just go up and wreck them. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we had actually that at one point that was pretty exploitable until nearly the very end of the game. And we had some people play, and they're just like kept everyone frozen constantly and beat the hell out of them. We're like, might need to make it so you can't regen your mana easily by hitting frozen guys right after you do it. You're just gonna freeze forever.
Yeah, because me and my girl would do that. I'd freeze him, and then I'd be like, go get him, and she'd whack.
And he's got that crazy teleport ability that's real good in PvP also, because you can just like zoom up into the air. There's this like hex in the air that comes up, and you shoot up all into it, and then you can move around, and then you drop down and smash the enemy, and so you can do that kind of in a PvP game. It's not that obvious where you are, but you can end up like ambushing your friend, especially in 3-player.
Oh yeah,
and now you know why we need online. God.
I know. Actually, the PvP would be awesome online. I would love
jousting is freaking sick. My girl did it, and the first time she played it, I had so much experience in the game. I'm good, but she beat me.
She's better, right?
She beat me.
Drake fails at games.
Because I was too focused on beating the enemies up at first, and then because they were coming at me, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait to get her, and then next thing you know, now she comes up, slices me right in the back. I'm like, you suck.
That would be, that is a really good reason to put it online, because that game in 3-player really shines. 2-player is fun, but it's just actually like 3-player for some reason, because everybody doesn't know who's going to be after them. You don't know quite who to focus on, and so it's got that like horrible sinking feeling that like you're doing the wrong thing at all times, and then you just get murder mystery.
It's like when you're in Super Smash Bros. Or something, and they're all trying to fight you.
People team up, but then it's like not a good idea in the end, or
Yep, exactly.
And it's cool because the boss like matters more kind of in 3-player. I find they'll be like putting in different kind of hexes on the ground that you have to be careful about, but your friend is trying to like push you into it.
That's another thing too. The bosses were incredible in that game. In my gameplay that I put up for it, I recorded one of the boss fights, a little bit of it at least, and it was outstanding. Like, I love every single one of the bosses. I don't think there's one of them that I was like, oh man, he was poorly designed, or he didn't look that good. Like, every one of them fought really well, and they definitely put up a fight. I kind of noticed that game was one of those kind of games where don't expect to go through it the first time. And expect to beat it. You have to go through it several times and kind of capture the little side objectives. Once you're done with that, then you go in and you go collect the fairies or whatever, and you do all that, and then you go in and you fight the boss eventually after you've ranked up enough and you're strong enough to be able to fight him, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. The bosses, in a way, are the thing I was the most disappointed with in the end in the game. Like, because to me, they're like, I like all the components that make up fights, but I think we could have done a little bit better job, like, kind of in the timing and responsiveness of the bosses. And so it's like the last thing that irks me that we had to ship it without them being like quite perfect. But it was it was real hard to get them to work in the way that I really wanted them to. So I'm glad to hear that you had a really good time with them anyway.
They still
quite hitting my expected level of like deliciousness.
They still mess me up. I'm telling you.
Joe is available for marketing and
yeah, I mean,
right,
have to get you
campaign
as our
stuff.
PR firm. Yeah.
Yes, if you need to take him to the next PAX to sell your game, man, he's ready to go.
Well, we might be at the next PAX, so I'll let you know.
I tell you, when you we are, we're not that we can get tickets on any time soon, but we're all on the East Coast. Where are you, by the way? You're East Coast, right?
Yeah, New York.
Okay, very cool.
Oh man, yeah, I'm Rhode Island. I used to live in New York.
Cool. I spent a lot of time in Rhode Island. Actually, our first game company, my brother and I, we've lived for years in Rhode Island, in Providence.
Oh wow. Oh nice. I live 40 minutes away from there in a town called Middletown.
Cool.
So.
You live the farthest possible point.
Yeah.
While being in Rhode Island. You know that because it's only like a 45-minute drive across Rhode Island, so it's got to be the farthest.
right before you get to Jason's country.
Yeah.
Right before you get to Canada.
It's cold up here. No, it's not. It's actually like a heat wave.
I've actually had
got sunburnt the other day too. It sucks.
The heat wave up there is what, 60 degrees?
It was like 35 degrees Celsius. Sorry, I don't do Fahrenheit.
Oh.
I actually talked to someone.
Not doing math tonight. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not doing no math. I've been drinking. Screw math. Who needs?
I talked to someone, and they actually thought that you do not drive cars in Canada, you ride sleds. I was like, yo, what is this?
Yeah. I got a dog sled for my year-round travel.
Freaking North Pole or something like that.
Didn't you know I lived in Igloo too, and I got penguins outside?
Igloo 2? No apartment 2 or nothing like that? Igloo 2?
No apartment. Igloo.
Igloo number 2, you have a little sign, home sweet home.
The CN Tower is surrounded by igloos. Big ones.
So the whole point is that we were going to make our best attempt to head up to PAX East when it comes back around next year. So we'll have to meet up with you.
Hey, rapid God with the math. Nice.
Jay in the chat room, it's 90.
It's warm. Just say
that. That was what it was.
Feels like 84 instead of here like 108.
Right. Well, we have this stupid thing called the heat index.
Yeah.
So it's actually 85, but it feels like 300 degrees.
Yeah.
So
roasting chestnuts on an open fire.
All right, now we're
pretty
not
much
even.
What it's like.
We're in August. We're in August. Can we
go
not
outside,
can
you're
we not
roasting
get to
your
December?
Yeah.
Can we not get to December yet? Only August.
Are any of you guys going out to PAX West or not?
Not a chance. I have 3 kids at home. And one of them's about to turn 2. I'm not leaving Maryland for a while.
Yeah, 3 kids. He's lucky to get out of the house.
I'm lucky I'm awake.
I'll be
That's
moving back to
surprising.
California within the next couple of years, probably. So I'm probably going to be hitting up that also.
Wait, you're what?
Within the next couple of years, I'll probably be moving to California and stuff like that also. So I'm going to be hitting up like all those places, all the events, all the gaming events and stuff like that. Be closer.
Were you at E3?
No.
We need to go. I was too busy.
They're right working
Too
on
busy working, eh?
Yeah, very much too busy. Yeah, I mean, I was working every possible hour around that time. That was right when we were finishing up, I think. So
Oh wow.
definitely not possible. Yeah, it came out on July 26th. So when was
Right.
E3?
E3 was in May? June.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's
Hey,
June.
what the hell? I am
No,
not
it's
even.
June.
I am
Hey.
not. No, I'm still on.
Have you been drinking too much?
I'm
Have you been
still.
rough?
I'm still in. It was May when I went. Let's put it that way. That's how old I am.
Yeah,
It was
how
20
many years
years
ago is
ago.
that? Like 50?
Yeah, it was June.
Back
and
when it was
just like-
first
it was
created.
Yeah, you guys-
right. Thank you. Okay.
I don't know if everybody who's like listening at home knows how console lead times work, but you can't really. It's not like you finish the game and it comes out the day after.
No, that's how it works. Jeez, where have I been?
So yeah, we were like
Well,
probably
kind of take us through a little bit of that. So you said that you were it's been about 4 years.
yeah,
So
4.5.
at what point does kind of the rubber meet the road as far as coding and stuff goes? I mean, are you kind of give us the just a general rundown of how the process works? We never get a chance
Sure.
to ask anybody that.
Yeah, well, I think this is going to be a very unusual process. So I wouldn't, think that it's the same for this and anything else. This is probably the longest, what people would call pre-production cycle, like of any game ever. We basically spent the first, like almost 3 years in pre-production, or what I consider pre-production. And so what we were doing was just iterating and refining and trying new things and retrying them and just trying to get everything really right. And although I do programming, actually most of my time was figuring out game design stuff. I would say, I only spent maybe 10% of my time during that time programming. I would program up a new version real quick, and then it would take a lot of testing and putting in new data and getting it ready to try, then trying it, thinking about what the results were of that trial, trying to figure out where we wanted to go from there. And so that was a solid 3 years before I was just like, yes, this is the product I want it to be. And then it was about another 1.5 years of what I would call production. Not a lot of stuff changed during production, but it was the core ideas of the game didn't change. Although actually tag team was added in production.
Wow.
Strangely, that wasn't even part of that. Yeah, it wasn't known at that time. We had a whole version of the game that I thought was pretty good. About 1.5 years ago that didn't have tag team in it at all. And so, sometimes till you get to the whole product, you can't really get a great full sense of how it's all come together. So once we felt like it needed something, we really wanted to take the time to put that thing in. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff. The backgrounds had to all be redone to be the kind of 3D-ish way they are now. There's just a ton of content to be put in. A lot of experimenting with some things like mounts and stuff that weren't really fully in there. So that's kind of the general timeline. But yeah, strangely, most of my time has not been programming on this, even though I'm the only programmer.
So you're the one doing all the coding.
Yeah, all the coding, and also a lot of the game design.
Nice.
Hey Dan, what did you like the best, and what did you like the worst? Work on Dungeon Punks.
Oh man, what did I like the best? I think it's like the results are kind of the best, but process is the worst.
You like the finished product and you don't like the work involved.
That's a terrible answer, but it's kind of true. The problem for me, just personally, is I like being in that kind of zen place and listening to music, getting a lot of stuff done, making progress. I'm a progress junkie. When I'm getting stuff done and feeling good about what I'm producing, that's awesome. When I'm sitting there scratching my head, I'm basically miserable. So 3 years of it was totally miserable for me. It was 10% getting stuff done and 90% scratching my head. So yeah, I like it when I can just be in it, do some programming, put together some artwork, whatever it is, slap stuff into the game and get it all put into the place where I know it should be. When I don't know where it should be, that drives me crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, so young.
Did you so 4.5 years? We were still at the tail end, sort of the previous gen, the Xbox 360, PS3. Both of those had XBLA and that and Sony was dabbling in the indie games as well. Were you specifically targeting Xbox One, PS4, and PC, or did you have thoughts of maybe the game was going to
not at all? I actually, I kind of just went the way the game led me, and we didn't decide to come out on consoles until pretty late. I don't even remember when exactly, but
Oh, so this was originally going to be Steam only?
who knows? It could have been web and Steam, or it could have been, who knows? It could be anything.
One hell of a web game.
I thought you were going to spit your beer in there, Mike. You're like, oh yeah, this is a great podcast. Last one was somebody peeing. This one, somebody spit their beer out everywhere.
HTK.
That's all right. At least these guys are asking questions. We had Christian Allen on. I don't know if you know him. He's from Surreal, and he worked on a lot of Ghost Recon stuff.
I saw the parts of the episode, but I don't know personally.
And I'm literally typing in the chat room, guys, somebody else ask a question other than me. Can somebody else please? And they're all going, no, we're riveted. We're like, this is like the best conversation we've ever heard. Keep going. And I'm like, I'm running out of stuff to ask. So if somebody might please ask a question.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I've been waiting a while for this. So I think that definitely, I'm glad that I get to ask these questions now.
Yeah, he was squealing like a girl on Rainbow Six. You should have heard him. Oh, jeez.
Oh man.
I thought someone was dying on the other end for a minute. Like, what the hell is
It's
that?
crazy. It was crazy.
That's Drake all happy. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Dan's in the room. I gotta go. Click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get shot. And
Yeah,
I'm like, oh man, I'm Drake. Where'd you go?
I shut off the game. I saw Dan's in the room. You gonna come in? I was like, boop. I just left everyone. I'm like, booked it.
I already timed out because
Yeah.
I saw this like, oh, okay, better get my stuff ready. You know?
Oh, we were like, what the hell, HDK? What are you doing?
Yeah. I was the
Don't start
last
another
one.
game. What are you doing?
I was
Must
the
have fallen
last one in the
asleep.
party.
Office rocker.
Yeah, we were like, what's he doing? What's he doing? And then he lagged out, and I'm like, oh man, he got kicked for inactivity. I'm like, thanks a lot, HDK.
Yeah, shout out to the other guys that were in the party that stayed there, even after everybody dropped out. Me, Reckless.
Wait, what?
Who else was there? Noble, I believe, is in there still.
No, boy.
Yeah. Pretty much three of us and two noobs, or randos, whatever you want to call them.
But yeah, I was talking to them the whole entire time about that, about like that we were going to be doing this today because, like I had told you before, man, I honestly, I'm not, there's like games that I get excited for, but none of them that I get too crazy about and hyped up over. And I'm just like, I'm really happy that I got this is my first review I've ever done, actually. So, so yeah.
Yeah, this was his first.
Yeah, so I'm actually glad that it could be
You
this game.
virginized you.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I was going to say it, though.
Thanks.
Well, I was thinking, I was like, wow, this could be a good one for him to cut his teeth on. It's him and his girl could play it, and it's nice and action based, and like
action.
Like after the first day, he's like, oh my god, man, I can't stop playing the game.
I tell people all the time. Like if I don't like something, I won't review it. I'll put out, I won't what do you call it? Like do it on Twitch or anything like that. I won't like tell anyone about it on Twitch. Like I would just straight up do my review and be done with it. I love this game. Like I streamed it, I think twice. I finished almost the whole entire game on stream alone.
Awesome. That's really cool.
I know you were talking about doing another walkthrough for.
Yep, whole story mode. I'm gonna try to get it eventually done around the corner. We have so many games that we've been playing lately.
Oh yeah, so many multiplayer games. It's too much time.
Once that's done, we'll actually have that up on the YouTube channel, Dan. So and of course, I'll let you know when it's up. It'll have its own playlist and everything. We like to do those kind of walkthroughs and let's plays and stuff on our YouTube channel. So, when Joe gets started on that, we'll keep having it.
Sweet. Yeah, let me know.
Absolutely. Oh, hang on a second.
Quick question for you, Dan.
Yeah.
What was your greatest barrier in creating the game?
Greatest barrier. Huh. It really was the design problems. There's nothing that we couldn't do technically, or I guess I couldn't do technically. There's takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of commitment, but fundamentally I feel like the design problems are they feel like you're kind of wandering in a dark forest and you're looking for something. There's something there that you're looking for, and you're like, all right, I think it's in this direction. you walk that direction for a while, and you're like, I didn't find anything. Do I keep walking that direction? Maybe I should turn a little. You try turning a little. And it's like that demoralizing to like, like search for this thing in a dark forest. You can't really see. You have like some ideas about where stuff might be. You can feel around a little bit, but you just don't have like, there's no map. And if you're trying to do something that's kind of new, and there are a lot of things about the game that like feel really familiar, but are actually implemented really differently than most brawlers. So unfortunately, as soon as you get into that territory with any kind of game design, where you threw out a bunch of stuff that is like the canonical, normal way that this kind of game is implemented, you run into so many problems because everything basically is relying on that. It's a big house of cards, and when you pull out the bottom cards, they all fall down, and you have to build a completely new house from the bottom. So I think that was really like the hardest thing, was not realizing just how many things would have to change if I took the things I didn't like and got rid of them.
Oh, wow.
And like, the mana system is like, it's simple, right? And like, you cast using direction arrows and a button. But like, I mean, that wasn't like something that we came to quickly, and it's not in any other games either. Like, that I know of at least, where it's like, you have chunk-based mana, so like one of the things we wanted to avoid was cooldown kind of systems where you have to be like not really sure which spell is ready at what time and paying attention to that really heavily and looking somewhere on the screen to find out. And then also, like, usually cooldown systems imply that you have to cast spells in like a certain kind of an order, because you have to do it in order to maximize your benefit as soon as it's gotten cool, right?
Nice.
And so to get rid of those problems was like insanely horrible, because we had to come up with a completely new way that was balanced and interesting, but let you cast anything at any time, but still let you have enough spells to work with that you could do something interesting with them. And so so something like that seems real simple when you play it. Actually, just took an insane amount of experimenting to get to. So just for people who haven't played it, we have like a 3-bar mana system. You work up your chunks of mana by fighting the enemies, and so the bars are really obvious, so you know exactly when you can and when you can't cast. But you can cast anything you want as long as you have the mana to do it. And then there's tag team. Spellcasting is done using a combination of a direction arrow and a specific magic button in order to avoid like the crazy Street Fighter learning curve where you have to know all these like really weird inputs and be able to remember what all the spells are. So we like had all this experimentation where if you have like 8 different things you can do at your disposal, how do you actually remember how to do all 8? And there weren't that many combinations of ways of doing inputs that we actually could keep them all in our head at one time.
Yeah, well, I think you found a pretty good balance, honestly. It's it's crazy. I was gonna say also, yo, Mike, you just got
Sorry,
back.
guys. I don't know what in
just-
the world happened. My computer decided out of nowhere to just reboot.
You missed my long monologue.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, you must have got an update or something, eh? Windows
I
10
don't know what
update,
happened.
we just reboot you when we feel like it.
Oh my god, I almost swore to never use Windows again earlier this year because my computer literally turned itself off without my permission.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm on 8.1, but at one point, 8.1 will tell you it's going to reboot in a day. Then if you don't reboot it, it's like, hey, we're really going to reboot. And if you still don't reboot it, it's like, no, really, 5 minutes. And then if you don't, reboot, it will just turn off. No permission. I didn't allow that. It just doesn't.
Yeah, you see all that work? Yeah, guess what? Goodbye.
I mean, thank God I saved my work all the time.
Yeah, that's what they say, save often.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. So I very quickly ran over to my Surface Pro, so I could where my video station is. So
Nice. That's why we see different things behind you
Yeah,
and see your face from a different angle.
yes, this
Yeah,
is why you see my.
Change the angle, man. We don't
Yeah.
like that angle. Go back to the other one.
And my Space Ghost poster, which is on the other side, which is actually signed by George Lowe.
Nice.
Coast to coast.
Yes, sir. I met him at E3 2006, and
It's funny because from here it looks like a Toulouse-Lautrec poster.
Oh, here, I'll grab it real quick. This is a great, and I'll tell you why this is such a great poster. So, we were at E3, and does anybody remember a service called GameTap? It's still kind of around,
Yeah, sure.
but it's not nearly what it used to be. So they were promoting their stuff, and they had live Space Ghost Coast to Coast running. And so we couldn't figure out whether or not it was pre-taped and they were just acting out what was going on the stage or not. So I don't remember how the conversation came, but my friend, one of my writers, Dan, who was with me that year, I said, man, one day I would love to meet that guy. And somebody heard me because somebody from GameTap walked over to me and said, "You do?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Come with me." And like the Wizard of Oz, this guy opens up a door and walks out of this back room, and it's George Lowe, the voice of Space Ghost. So I was like, I'm not starstruck very much, but I was like, wow, man, I've got DVDs with every one of the Space Ghost Coast to Coast episodes. I'm like, can we of course get your autograph? So he grabbed a couple of these posters and he said, I'll do you one better. So what he did was, on the poster, not only did he sign it, but he captioned everybody.
Nice.
So here, let me.
That's great.
Yeah, so you got Zorak, and you got him, and you got Moltar, and I don't think there's anything. And then he signed it himself, and then we got our pictures taken with him.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
it's one of my
Congratulations on winning life.
Yeah, right. So no, I mean
Speaking of winning, I see a spider coming down to your head, Mike.
What?
What? No, I'm just playing. Man. There's no spider. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't be swatting above your
It would
head.
not surprise me.
He was about to scream.
Yeah, I was hoping he was going to.
All right, I'm not that bad.
Are you sure? Here you playing some of those games. Man, you can scream.
Oh, stop it. So can we get back to Dan?
Who's Dan? Who are we talking
I'm
about?
enjoying talking about Space Ghosts and spiders, man.
Yeah, I don't know
Space
how we
Ghost
got
and
into spiders. I don't know how we got into spiders.
I don't know. I just thought I'd come up with some, keep this fresh.
I got to do this for Matt. So one of my regular co-hosts, he's not with us tonight, but he likes to do this. He likes to get his face like right up into the microphone, into the laptop.
But you don't got bricks behind you or nothing.
This is true. I don't look like I'm in a prison.
Yeah, you don't.
HDK is laughing.
Yeah, maybe wear an orange shirt too. Just to.
I remember that
stand
episode
out.
where he wore the orange shirt. He's like, "Hey, who broke this guy out of jail to have a podcast?"
I'm actually repping, since we talked about Dreamcast a little earlier, and Dan doesn't know a whole lot about it. I'm repping Shenmue tonight.
Shenmue.
My
Hey, I
Shenmue
got
shirt.
Shenmue 2 downstairs. Disc.
I have them both. One for the Dreamcast, and then of course 2 for the Xbox. So you said before the podcast, Dan, you don't get a chance to play much because of course you're working on the game.
Not lately.
When you do get a chance to play, what do you like? What's your?
And I'm so eclectic. I mean, I can tell you what I don't like, but I'll just stick to what I do like.
First person shooters.
Yeah, not so into it. I mean, the last person. Actually, I want to play the new Doom. I haven't gotten a chance to yet, but
Beautiful game.
Probably the last FPS I really loved was Doom 2. So that was a while ago.
Nice.
But yeah, the last game I spent a significant amount of time playing was The Witness, and really enjoyed that quite a lot. It's not really my typical game. I'm not so into puzzles, but it was just so nicely put together. I kind of just even enjoyed watching how John Blow put together the progression of puzzles. It was just so masterfully executed, teaching you how to do them by the puzzles themselves, and everything felt like a really incremental expansion of your understanding of the game. So that was great. I re-downloaded Parappa the Rapper the other day.
Oh.
That doesn't hold up at all.
No, but the music does.
Oh man, yeah, I do love the music. But I remember it didn't really hold up even when it was first released. So.
Well,
Even though I love it, I've definitely completed Jammer Lammy.
now see that one I didn't really like. Parappa was the first one that I really got into, and that had because the two I remember the most, of course, was Master Onion and
Yes.
and what's her name, the cooking chicken.
Yeah.
Like she was straight out of Queen Latifah stuff. I mean, that was pretty. There was some pretty good writing in that game. I have to admit.
Unfortunately, my girlfriend hated it so much I haven't really been able to play it too much.
I'm telling you, Dan, if you ever have time and you got an Xbox One, you should hit up something with us.
Sure, I'd be into it. I've got some dev kits.
Yeah, so
that's a crazy thing. The only one of the consoles I actually own at home and is like a PS Vita TV. Sorry, PS TV, I should call it. The technically correct terminology. Which is kind of neat because I can actually play Dungeon Punks on it, but it's like the lowest quality possible version of Dungeon Punks. So it's like on a 50-inch TV, but it's 540 by 960 by 540. So it's like real low res. Just as fun though.
So the platform holders, did you go to them with the game? Did they come to you?
It's surprisingly easy these days to actually get it on the platforms. It's like a mountain of digital paperwork and approvals and stuff. But
and
the
NDAs.
NDAs, signing stuff, approving things, getting things sent to you, sending things back, getting hardware, getting your game approved, et cetera, et cetera. But the actual the gates are open. Like you can just apply and get your game on there. It's no longer what it was before, where you really had to be kind of almost sponsored by them in order to do it. Now, they're pretty much willing to accept you if you have something reasonable to offer.
And that would be both, because obviously in the beginning stages before before there was ID at Xbox, we heard a lot of horror stories about about their program, and then of course Chris Charla comes along, and then everything kind of opens up. Were you already approved with them before all that?
Before Chris? No, I don't know when Chris started there. I talked to him once, but it was pretty late in the process. Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you know when he started?
He came in, I want to say 2015 is when or 2014 rather is when he came in.
I was thinking mid 2014 is when they did the ID at Xbox.
Yeah,
so maybe towards late 2014.
Yeah.
We got in through the ID at Xbox program. We basically started applying to these things in January of last year. So 2015, the very beginning. He was right, or maybe it's just slightly after that. It was right after Indiecade East last year. And so we just got signed up with all the programs. And just stuff takes time, and there's a lot of stuff to fill out. But if you know what you're doing and you have a reasonable product, they're pretty supportive. Actually, it's interesting seeing the differences between the consoles. Microsoft has been really good now, but I would say when you first start with them, it's easy to be daunted because it's kind of like a faceless email box, and there's kind of no one to talk to. Sony's much more proactive, and you can find somebody. They assign you an account manager. You have someone to talk to about issues. Nintendo, I haven't dealt with enough yet to tell you which way it is, but I have a feeling it's more hands off.
Okay. Yeah, and that is something that we've heard a lot is to give them a lot of credit. Sony really went after the indie market early on, and Microsoft's done a lot of good catch-up work. But that's kind of consistent with what I've heard. And I like it. I think it's wonderful. I've always championed games being multi-platform. I'm not that. When it comes to the smaller not even smaller, but let's say the non-first party games, I would rather anything that's not internally built should be where everybody can play them, and I'm a proponent of that.
Yeah, I'm glad that it came to Xbox. Definitely, that's freaking awesome because I don't have a PlayStation.
Yeah, we really wanted to just get it in front of as many people as we could. It is a lot of extra work, but it's definitely worth it.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, you open yourself up for, the more you can get it out in front of other people, the more chance you have of selling it. Now, does it add significant development costs with what you were telling us earlier about your compiler and stuff like that? Does it add that much significant cost to make it multi-platform like that, or can you kind of at this point kind of roll it out at the same time with semi the same code?
Yeah, we roll it out with almost exactly the same code. All of them are pretty much the same code base. We have to issue a patch to fix a couple things. I'm actually trying to re-roll everything back into exactly the same code base. Right now, I've kind of branched it off a little bit, but yeah, it's like I'd say more than a month of, if you have something that can work pretty cross-platform, there's an additional month of work or so for each one, plus some more. And then each release on a platform is its own kind of like I said, there's this whole digital paperwork thing, where it's just like, it's like being in the old Soviet Union, where there's just like 10,000 forms. Like, that's what it's like. So there's a month of development work, and then whatever amount of like Soviet Union style paperwork to do. So, and approvals and like getting rejected and reapproving and resubmitting, getting rejected for another little tiny thing.
Don't worry, they got that rejection stamp right there for everything. So
Exactly.
they don't even look at it. Just here you go, rejection.
Yeah, if there's like one, if anything is wrong, it's just rejection and resubmit. So that's kind of just how it all works. Steam is a lot easier. But even that took some development work, but then the process part was easy.
Now, did you have to get greenlit through Steam, or was that?
Yeah, that was kind of a nightmare. We thought it would be much easier than it was, actually. We still did it in I don't remember, 2 or 3 weeks, but yeah, that was a lot of just like legwork to try and get that done. It's a totally opaque process, so you have no idea what's going on, and we didn't do it until too late. We were under the false apprehension that maybe we would be able to somehow release there without going through Greenlight because we were coming out on all the consoles, but it's not the case. So and you'll notice the Steam version is now not out at the same time as the consoles. As basically a direct result of that poor choice. Actually, I don't mind having the Steam version out later, but that's why it happened. So we got greenlit, but then by that point there just wasn't enough time to like have a really fully tested version. And the other thing is, like, on PC, on console, yeah, there's all this paperwork you have to do, but you don't have to test it against 1,000 different variations. On PC, you've got like every possible kind of hardware under the sun, and your game has to run right on all of them. And how do you test that? I don't know. You'll find out when it comes out on Steam, I guess.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, and now you have to worry about, so what's your take, kind of branching off from specific game development, but more into the industry a little bit, because this kind of affects, I would imagine this affects indie developers a lot, if not more, than larger developers with larger budgets. What do you see with these new iterative consoles that are coming out? We have Microsoft and Sony are now, instead of embracing that standard generation that we're all used to, we have new hardware coming out as early as probably early next year and as late as next holiday. And how do you guys as indie developers kind of see this?
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely been interesting to hear about. I think, for us, our game, I don't mean this in a like, self-affirming kind of way, but our game is kind of timeless in that it's 2D and it's like not about the resolution. So I'm not super worried for Dungeon Punks about like, Scorpio or whatever they're calling the next generations are. It's not going to be like a game that you play on your 4K TV in order to like see the higher definition of the edge of Captain Frill's hat. So, so I'm pretty cool with that, and I'm really hoping, I'm crossing my fingers here, that we don't have to do anything to support those new versions. It seems like they're all like pretty much just out of the box, backwards compatible, and should be okay. But you never know.
Yeah, I mean they are, and Sony's. As far as we know now, we don't know much about the Scorpio. The Neo, Sony's Neo is supposed to have the ability to create a Neo version that would take advantage of the hardware, or it would just run like it would run on any PlayStation 4. So
yeah, and I imagine we probably won't make a Neo version. It'll just be whatever it does and work. I mean, I don't think you're gonna get anything out of a Neo version. Is I guess my thought on it. Like what kind of like awesome fidelity am I gonna add to it? I just can't imagine what I would even do.
It's already beautiful enough. There's nothing else more you can do.
Everything 4K.
that's right.
I mean, the heroes actually could be up-res a little bit, probably. But that's really more of like a process thing than it is about the hardware. So it's almost like that. Our game isn't a game that like stresses out the hardware. So it'll be cool in the future to have those new platforms to well, it'll be cool and terrible because you'll have to support the old ones too, right? With both of them.
Right.
So like it's strange because
Thing.
you can't like fundamentally make a new kind of game based on them, but you can make it so it could look prettier, which is sort of a weird spot to be in. I almost like hate it because I don't really care about like making games that just look prettier. I'd rather make a game that's like something that couldn't have been made before.
See, I would like to take that clip that you just said, and I would like to put it on a loop and just play that to everyone.
You're
Because
sick after 5 minutes.
no, because
You're
it's
like, I shut that thing off.
right. I want my 4K. I think this is something that it kind of needs to be said. I mean, this thing about power and this and
I like
you know
gameplay and fun factor.
See-
I like having fun
yeah,
playing
well,
games.
see,
I don't care
right.
if it's
Nobody
a
cares
4K.
about fun
See,
anymore.
for me, I think that resolution doesn't mean anything personally. That's why I was kind of disappointed when like what was that one game that was made by the people who made the Borderlands games? Gearbox made that one game, and it was supposed to be like a what was it?
talking
What was it?
Battleborn?
Yeah, Battleborn. That was what it was. I remember they decided to go resolution 1080p, and that's like an art kind of style game. So you don't really need 1080p on that game where everything's like hand drawn and stuff like that. You don't really need that. The thing for me is I was kind of disappointed. I only get disappointed when first-person shooters are 30 frames per second. I think
That's actually awful. I agree.
I think that every first-person shooter needs to be 60 frames per second. Every other game, third-person, I don't care. You can have it 30. That doesn't bother me. But first-person has to be 60 frames per second.
Well, even with our game, I was real concerned about it being 60. I mean, we developed pretty much the whole game at 30, and at one point I had to refit it to 60, and that was kind of a pain, but it was definitely worthwhile. I mean,
It works well, man.
it's much better at 60. And even, actually, Vita I almost released it at 30 on Vita, and then I just, couldn't do it, and I fortunately managed to get it at 60. I would have been so pissed if I...
I may have to either Peter or I may have to grab a copy of this ourselves and do a couple of videos at 60 because we're breaking in our brand new Elgato HD60s.
Oh, cool.
Joe will tell you he has gotten sick of me talking about it, but
I
Yeah,
got one of them
Yeah, you
too,
can
so
send
I
me
like
one
it.
of those, I told you.
this dude,
Send me an Elgato.
this dude's cheating on me with an Elgato. I'm telling you.
so I
never
would
call
love
me-
to.
You never
I'd
call me
love to-
beautiful.
Yeah, you're always beautiful, Joe.
No, he's
I'd love to
not.
get a-
Look at him.
Well, oh come on. He looks now. Wait, that's a misleading picture he's got though.
Oh my god.
He looked much nicer and sweeter when he had his camera on. But we'd
Messy
like to.
apartment, though. Holy jeez.
Well,
he's saying that on purpose because my girl doesn't want me to freaking have my camera on in the apartment. That's why I don't turn it on. And my girl just looked at me like, "Yeah, that's right."
I gotta try. I gotta try. But
Yeah.
we'd love to. We'd love to get a couple of videos up that are 60 frames per second so people could see it, because that is hard to do when you're, because streaming directly out of the consoles, I've come to realize is just not as good.
Yeah, the Elgato is a lot better.
Oh my, yeah.
I have one of them. It's great. I like it a lot.
I love it. If
I got a Roxio and it doesn't push out that 60, which sucks.
How dare you? How dare you diss my Xbox One streams? They're amazing.
They're amazing.
Hey, the quality of the gameplay is all there, Drakey. But look, that stream of Riptide was just sublime. So,
it's all right compared to Drake's. It's all right.
It's all right. Yeah,
it's all right.
It was okay, just okay. Yeah.
So we'd love to get a couple of those videos up where we can show off the frame rate, because people, resolution is one thing, and you've probably seen it if you're anywhere on social media, Dan, that the whole resolution war between consoles, and to me that's kiddie stuff, but I will always have a conversation about frame rate. And first-person shooters is one, racing games is another. Don't get me wrong, I love things like Forza Horizon and Drive Club and stuff, but give me a nice smooth 60 on that. And
the thing that's nice that's coming out now is, there is enough graphical processing power now that you can do more stuff even at lower frame rates, including a bunch of motion blending kind of stuff with motion vectors. I think you're going to start seeing that in a lot more games, actually, and that's going to bridge the divide that you kind of you don't notice in film because there's natural motion blur and you don't have to worry about it, but on a computer, when you're rendering out, whether it's 30 frames a second, 60 frames a second, 24 frames a second, whatever it is, you're not seeing the blur between the frames, which really matters for motion continuity. And so instead, if you're having 30 frames a second, and you have something that's moving quickly, it just looks really staccato and not very good. So in a way, that's what I'm really excited about these new console iterations, is that we may be able to have better graphical effects on them. And maybe what you'll see people releasing 1080p games on the new generation of the re-upped generation of consoles, but you'll see a 720p version on the existing gen of the same game, but with the improved graphical fidelity. I think you're going to like that a lot better than you're going to like a 4K, whatever they have to do to render 4K. Rendering 4K is so abysmally slow to do, and it's not that great as an overall result. You're going to tremendously prefer 1080p that has all these cool effects on it.
Did you try rendering Dungeon Punks in 4K to start, just to see if you could do it?
Yeah, I drew every pixel actually off my wall. No. Actually, it was 540 at first.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So, are you? Yeah, really. Look, for the people that actually do care about it, are we 1080p across the board?
It always renders out at 1080p. The backgrounds are kind of they're sort of a pastel-y, sort of painterly look, so I left them at a little bit lower res, but it all technically renders out at 1080p. Sort of a weird nomenclature almost, but I wouldn't say that every pixel is hand-drawn 1080p, but it certainly renders that way.
Yeah.
Oh, damn! I was hoping for hand-drawn 1080p pixels.
You know what though? People are gonna parse that to death. It's not native. What? Stop. Everybody just stop. The game is gorgeous.
The important question here is, when are you going on vacation? When are you actually going to take a break from developing?
I think my girlfriend convinced me that I get to take a break on the 26th, so I'm going to take a 4-day, including 2 weekend days, vacation.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So
take a couple days off, so that'll be good. Thank God.
Oh, by the way, man.
You deserve it, man.
Another thing, too, I wanted to say, I appreciate it, Dan. Every time I have a question to ask, you're usually pretty quick to jump on it.
Yeah, well, that's been my favorite thing about Twitter. It's just been so great to anytime people either have an issue or they're wondering something about the game, whatever it is, I can just like let everybody know. Everyone hears about it. It's been great.
It's awesome.
All right, well, one last question for you. Once you get back from vacation, what do you think is next for Hyper Awesome?
Good question. Well, I don't know. Josh has been pushing me for the multiplayer version, honestly. Actually, the not-local multiplayer version.
Oh, man.
And now you can say the next
Drake's
level
foaming
gaming
at the
crew.
mouth.
Yo,
Right, the next level gaming crew has also demanded
Yeah, so
online
I've been
multiplayer.
getting I'm hearing a lot of demand for that. So you never know. It might not be exactly the same product, or it might be an addition to the existing one. I haven't figured it out, but
I'm telling you.
Season Pass, man. Look at Season Pass.
I'm telling you,
Season
man.
pass.
It's the latest thing.
I'm telling you, Dan. If you buildeth it, we will playeth it.
all right. That's good.
I could, and we will streameth it.
Yeah, streameth
I
it.
can guarantee you that. So.
We stream now? I didn't know that. You guys didn't tell me anything.
Well, that's because you only have a Roxio, you know?
Yeah.
Hey,
Elgato, man.
PC's doing pretty good. I'm getting it built.
yeah, that's
Slowly
awesome.
but surely.
So, all right, gentlemen, was there any other questions that we had for Mr. Dan?
I think
Peter, you
everybody
asked
asked
one-
my questions. Like,
Peter,
you might take
Peter-
all my questions.
Peter asked all of one question.
Yeah, well, and got it answered. So
That was what he wanted to know, man.
He's one for one. That's
one
all
for
that
one.
matters.
Exactly.
Well, I promised Joe we would try to keep this to an hour and a half because, you know, we're the type of guys that could talk all night. So, you know, you
It was a
obviously
lot of
have.
fun, guys.
Yeah, it was. You obviously have some coding to go do for the Steam version, so we don't want to hold you up either. So, hey, I wanted to also just, you know, thank Ami and Chloe for helping us set this up. You have a very nice PR team,
Yeah, they're great.
and I much thanks to them. I hope you will let them know how nice we were to you.
Definitely. Sure.
So Dan, before we headed out, was there anything else you wanted to, you know, to bring up, talk about?
Yeah, sell us on your game.
The floor is the floor is yours.
Oh man, I hate being a salesman though. I just want to go code.
That's what that's what Joe's for. Joe's gonna be your salesman.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah,
I just want to say thank you guys. It really has been it's just so exciting, like hearing people really enjoy the game. It sounds kind of cheesy, but really, like when you release it, you don't necessarily like know what you're gonna get back from the community, and to hear something really positive is just super, super affirming and it feels great. And so, yeah, thank you. I mean, it's for guys like you that we made the game, and it keeps us excited about making games in the future.
Oh, that's
man.
awesome.
And it's guys like you who end up making it to where I actually want to play the game.
Cool. Well, we'll just have to work on the multiplayer, and then you'll be fully satisfied.
Oh man,
Nice.
yeah, I'm really definitely satisfied with it so far. But that would be awesome multiplayer. I could picture it, me, Stinger, freaking Madzu, or HTK, and we're all just hitting it up. That'd be awesome.
But the thing is, if I make that online multiplayer, I want to make it like full-on game that you could play for like 1,000 hours. You know, it's not.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
kind of the problem. Is like
He wants you to live on the game.
Yeah, if you're gonna live on the game, live on the game. Like you gotta have a life there, like a whole thing going on. I want you to have like a real long-term progression with it. And so, in a way, I'm almost like I want too much from it to be able to release it easily.
That's
Oh,
all right.
yeah.
We can wait. We can wait.
All right, I'm just not sure I can work on a game for 5 years again. So I might do something a little more incremental.
Well, it might have to be your next game.
Yeah, could be.
Dungeon Trunks.
Dungeon Trunks.
Just don't trademark the name because I need to go get it.
Right. It could be yours for the sum of. Right. No. All right. So we can find you on Twitter at Dungeon Punks, right?
You got it.
And it's hyperawesome.com is the website.
Yep, or dungeonpunksgame.com.
Beautiful. So Dan, we want to thank you so much. This was a great night. And I love getting insight into game development and what goes into making games like this, because there's there's such a human element to it that I don't think anybody really understands. So to actually have you be able to come on and kind of, show people that yes, you are an actual human making this game, I think it's wonderful, and I'm excited for the response that we'll hopefully get for you on this, and hopefully a couple more game sales.
Sounds good.
We got to get
Thanks so much. It really was super fun talking to all you guys. It was amazing.
It's been such a pleasure.
Also, man,
Yeah.
make sure you follow me on Western Drake 22, man, on Xbox, because we can end up hitting that up together too. We can hit up some games together.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, we'll
Open lobbies, man. Open lobbies.
Yeah, we love to have anybody come in and play with us. Now, he plays Rainbow Six, so we might have
We got a lot of games.
So
we might have to switch over and do some Rocket League or something.
Yeah,
All right, that sounds good. Actually, I've been wanting to play Rocket League.
Rocket League is the truth. I can't tell you how much fun I have with that game.
Speaking of which, maybe we should hit that up tonight, Mike. We
I'm
haven't
down.
played that in a bit. At least
I'm
I
down.
haven't.
Still
I was on vacation.
Still not as good as Dungeon Punks.
I wasn't.
Nice. Very nice.
But it definitely sold more copies, I'll tell you that.
So, well, hey, you know what? The day is young.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you are seeing at least some good trajectory, right? I mean, we're getting there.
I'm hoping so. Honestly, you can't even get enough information from the platform holders to know this early. So, we'll see.
Wow.
It's such a crazy process.
Well,
Hopefully
I've
you
seen
get
a
a
bunch of
gigantic
people.
check in the mail.
When I've been streaming, I see a bunch of people saying that they're very interested in picking it up and they're going to go purchase it. And they're like, I'm going to go buy it now. So,
Cool. All right, well,
Yeah,
we just
I've
have
seen
to
that.
keep you streaming 24/7 for the next, 500 days. And we'll be good.
Drake, you
That's
got
a hell of a
job to do.
break-even
Get on it.
point.
Get on it, Drake.
ball and chain on my leg if you can just hold me there.
That's all right. So you know what? Honestly, Joe, what you should do is you should get, because she doesn't have to be on camera. You just get you and your lady to do the two-player co-op story, and we'll get it up on the channel.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
girlfriend don't play games except for Pokemon Go and
I'll-
some
and I'll ship
restaurant
you
game.
I'll ship you a crate of pink lemonade to go with it.
Yeah, there you go. Pink lemonade.
Well,
And
definitely.
a dwarf cutout.
Yeah,
After talking about all this, I might stream some tomorrow too for the.
sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we'll of course let you know anytime we're streaming it. We'll make sure we tag at
Tag you on
Dungeon
Twitter
Yeah, please do. That'd be great.
So that way you know about it and other people. So
so you can laugh at him when he's doing something wrong in the game. I
All right,
suppose.
sounds
yeah,
good.
there you go.
I have some tips for you.
There you go. I don't know how a
Hey,
maybe we can get
actually-
a developer thing. I don't know how that would work. I don't know the ins and outs of Twitch, but I know they do them.
actually, one quick question.
Yeah.
Is there any I forgot the name of it now. What did they call it? Easter eggs in the game? My mind went blank for some reason.
Is there an Easter
Any
egg?
Easter eggs? Yeah.
You know, that's strange. I don't know why we didn't put in Easter eggs. I feel like there's a lot of little things you can discover, but I feel like any regular, reasonably completionist person will find them all. So there's nothing like that hidden that you're gonna, you're like, oh wow, I found it! I can't believe it! Nobody else has ever seen this thing. There's nothing.
With the internet, as soon as one person finds it, everybody finds
Yeah,
it anyway.
it's true. Anyway, that's a good point. We probably should have put in some Easter eggs. Maybe I'll do that in the patch.
Nice.
There you go. I'm telling you, man.
If you do, let me know.
All right. Well, then it won't be an Easter egg if I tell you.
I won't tell anybody. I keep it all secret.
Season pass.
Little pet tag.
He's gonna
Season
keep
pass,
adding more
yeah.
to it. I'm telling you.
Actually, one thing I was thinking of adding was I don't know if I'm going to do this yet, but I was thinking of adding a turbo mode.
Oh wow.
Oh,
nice.
man.
Street Fighter Turbo Hyper Fighting. I was thinking of just literally doubling the speed of everything.
That would
That'd
be
be
awesome.
crazy.
Yes,
That'd be kinda funky.
sick.
It might be fun in PvP mode too. So
Man, this guy's gonna keep adding more
You
stuff
should-
to it, and I'm gonna freaking. You're not even gonna
Just-
need a ball and chain. I'm just gonna be playing it all day.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got to
if
write these
it's in
ideas
turbo
down.
mode,
though.
You're not going to play it for very long.
You're gonna get that 500 days out of him.
He's going to get his butt kicked
But
in
in
about 2
only, in
seconds.
only 250 days.
That's right.
There you go, half the time.
And your thumb will
Nice.
wear out faster too. So
Oh, yeah. Get that new controller. Get a new Elite every week.
get a new thumb.
Every
You
week.
need a thumb replacement.
Right, you need one of those old style controllers that has the turbo fire on it.
I
Oh
remember
yeah,
those.
totally. Actually, I have one of those that's a newer style controller. Let me see if I can find it. I don't have it here. It's sad. They're so cool.
He's hunting for things.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I found one. Yeah, I got this cool controller. I like playing with it. Although I don't know if you can actually play with it well on the current PS4 build. But it's this like Hori Fighting Stick 4.
Oh yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Nice.
It's got 6 buttons on the front, like a Street Fighter, console would.
Oh wow.
It's pretty great. Kind of like
Crazy.
and it's just got a D-pad, so it's like exactly my like perfect style.
That's sick.
Yeah.
It looks like an old, like the old Logitech.
Oh,
Yeah, we got about like 12 of them and brought them to PAX East. They're so great. They're really cheap too. They're like $30 or $25 or something.
So do you think? I mean, do you prefer people play Dungeon Punks with the analog stick or the D-pad?
Yeah, that was one of the things we got some like criticism for in some of the reviews. I gotta say, if you're gonna review a game and like the thing you're gonna mainly talk about is like that a setting is not by default the thing you prefer. It's like a pretty questionable thing to focus on. But actually, the way that the game is set up to play with D-pad by default, and you can turn on the analog stick if you want to in the settings menu. And the reason we did that was just because I actually find that it's hard to do magic well with the analog stick because you often don't know which direction you're going exactly. So I prefer to play with the D-pad, but I don't want to stop anyone from playing with the analog.
I play with the analog actually. I actually enjoy it. I got good with it. It took me some time to learn it, but I got really good with it. The D-pad is fun. It's just I don't really play even fighters. I don't play them with the D-pad anymore. I always play them with the analog now.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that was the one thing I've been wondering whether I should do something about during the patch. But I feel like people will probably be able to learn the game better to start with, and then maybe they can switch it up. I just didn't want people to like have a weird experience at the beginning because they weren't totally used to the directional stuff with the analog pad.
Oh yeah, I'm just glad
you have to press like right or up or down for the magic, and sometimes like you don't know which of them exactly you're doing with the analog.
Yeah, no, it worked. It worked really well with the analog. Actually, the only thing is sometimes when I'm trying to walk right by it, I notice it's kind of hard to pick up an item sometimes with the analog, but with the D-pad, it's fine.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I can look into that actually. I'll put that on my list of things to check out for the patch. The other thing that's interesting is PS4. I found the analog much worse. So like on Xbox, I agree. I can play with the analog and I'm cool with it, although it's not like my preferred way. On PS4, the analog has like a much bigger dead zone in the middle or something, and I don't know. I didn't have time to like mess with it enough to like really get it how I liked it. So I may be able to fix that up a little bit in patch 2.
Nice.
Everything can be patched in.
Yeah, it just takes like 20 reams of paperwork, more QA runs, and like 4 different platforms. But sure.
And more sleepless nights.
Yeah,
a few more sleepless nights, yeah.
I don't know. I can't do any more of those. I don't know.
He doesn't need sleep anyway. Look at him.
Yeah, he's young and
He looks well rested.
I wish I was young. I'm 40.
Oh, wow. You don't even look
another
40.
member of the 40-plus club. That's awesome. Drake's the only one not, I believe, right?
Yeah. Do you guys
I'm getting close.
If you had to guess, how old do you think I am, Dan?
From the static picture and not a video of the ice skate. 26.
Oh man, I'm 23.
All right, that wasn't that far.
That's pretty good from the static pitch.
But you got like a mustache and stuff. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
They call me Pablo Sanchez.
Yeah, so Madzu's just about to 40. I'm 42, and Peter is older
43. Yeah, just a year older.
You're in good company, my friend.
Peter farts dust.
Those are smoke. Those are smoke grenades.
Smoke grenades and Rainbow. Who needs?
Which he uses in Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his tactic. Just
All right,
one
guys.
and run.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Once again, Dan,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on, man. This was an absolute pleasure, and we had a great time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. It was great.
So, as always, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We are, we're, as you can see, I've got a great team of great gamers here. We got Joe, we got Peter, we got Jason, and the Twitch channel is constantly running, and we will have more Dungeon Punks on the Twitch channel as well as some more on the YouTube channel as we continue to play through. As Joe continues to play through the game over and over and over.
I'll tell you what, stream tomorrow. I'm going to be streaming it tomorrow.
All right. So we'll tweet that out when that happens. If you are already subscribed, thank you very much. Tell a friend, have them come see us. Don't forget our Twitch page, which is OG_NL Gaming. All the links are below, including the link to not only Dungeon Punk's Twitter, but should also be the Hyper Awesome page, and we'll put the Dungeon Punks page in as well. Let's see. I believe that's everything. Follow us on Twitter at OG_NL Gaming, which is to the your right of the screen, and of course you can follow us all at our individual Twitters as well. So we will see you guys all here next Sunday night at 10 p.m. for another great podcast. By the way, just saying, this was our 50th show.
Happy 50th.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations.
So what a hell of a night to have a great guest on. So, Dan, you helped us make history.
It was great. I had so much fun.
So, all right. Thank you, everybody in the chat room, for being with us tonight. Thank you, everybody who's been watching this live, and for all of you who are watching it later on YouTube. Please definitely leave a comment. Let us know if you have bought Dungeon Punks. Let us know if you like the game. Let us know if you have some questions or criticisms or anything like that. We'll be glad to pass them on to Dan. Hopefully all good comments. And so that's going to do it for us for the Next Level Gaming podcast. I'm Mike Mullis. On behalf of my wonderful team of guys here, want to tell you, have a great week. Make it a gaming week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you here next Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Play on, gamers.